In today's video, I will be answering the question, how do you know if you have food addiction? And I'm starting right now. My name is Gregory Groves, and if this is your first time visiting my channel and you would like to learn more on how to deal with the emotional issues associated with weight loss, food addiction, binge eating, emotional eating, stress eating, subscribe right now, hit that bell notification so you never miss a future video. Thank you for joining me here this week. So this week, as I mentioned, I will be talking about and answering the question, how do you know if you have food addiction? Simply put, food addiction is being addicted to food, usually junk or processed foods, the same way as a drug addict or an alcoholic would be addicted to those substances. So food addiction involves the same neurotransmitters, and many of the symptoms are identical or similar to drug, alcohol, and cigarette-based addictions. So food addiction is a relatively new term still, and it is still considered somewhat controversial. So there really aren't any great statistics. There are some statistics, but they're very new and they're not considered reliable on how common it truly is. So this includes binge eating disorder, to some extent bulimia and anorexia, compulsive overeating, but they all have similar characteristics, mostly unhealthy relationships with foods. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share eight very common symptoms of food addictions. There are plenty of others outside of the 8 I'm going to name, but these are the 8 that I personally come across most as a professional in the field. So number 1, you never eat in moderation. So when you give in to the foods you're craving, you almost always find yourself eating much more of it than you initially intended to. Number 2, you make or create excuses for failing to avoid the foods that you're craving or why you should give in to your cravings. So you're basically setting yourself up for failure with either. Remember, your past doesn't dictate your future unless you allow it to. Number 3, you frequently crave foods following nutritious meals. Number 4, you have repeatedly tried to quit eating or setting rules. So setting rules like what your cheat meal or day should be, about certain foods, about what foods you should and should not be eating, but you have been unsuccessful at it. Number 5, you eat until you are stuffed and you keep on eating. Number 6, you sneak or store food. So maybe you diet throughout the day, but you sneak and eat junk foods at night, and usually you hide it and you do it alone. So you often hide your consumption of these unhealthy foods from others. Number 7, you associate guilt with eating. So you feel guilty after eating a particular food, for example, yet you find yourself eating that specific food again soon after. And finally, number 8 is you feel unable to control your consumption of unhealthy foods, despite knowing that they are causing you physical and mental harm. So the more yeses you gave to the 8 points that I just shared with you, the more likely it is that you do suffer from some sort of food addiction or food addiction issue. Unfortunately, you may never be able to eat normal again. So I'm doing this because really, what is normal? Is eating high processed junk food normal? Maybe not. So maybe look at it in a different way, put a different perspective on it. But you need to treat your food addiction the exact same way a recovering alcoholic or drug addict or former smoker treats their addiction. An alcoholic who gives in and has a beer will relapse. Same thing with a recovering drug addict or a former smoker. In my experience as a weight loss transformation expert who does specialize in food addiction is no different. One bite of that real strong trigger food and you will what? You'll relapse. So yes, you do, of course, need to eat to stay alive, or you will starve. That is actually one of the things that separates food addiction from other addictions. But we do not need to eat the highly processed, refined sugars and the processed trans fat enriched foods. As I was as I was getting at, most food addicts will never be able to eat certain trigger foods again, which is what I was doing the whole thing about, right? But for me, I'll use myself as an example. So Taco Bell is something I will never be able to eat again. So I completely gave it up, as was McDonald's and Burger King. And that's just the truth. There's nothing I can do about that, and neither can you. So you just have to stay committed. But one thing I want to point out here is you take it one day at a time. Don't look at it as never again. Look at it at I will not eat these foods today. And then you just repeat that process. So don't look at it as never again, because tomorrow's a different day. Maybe you'll give in tomorrow, maybe you won't. But today, you don't have to. Make the choice today. So as a society, get back, I'm kind of rambling here. As a society, we're exposed to processed, highly palatable foods, and overexposure, especially at a very young age, children, can increase the risk of becoming a food addict. So that is a big difference, right? So we, as I said, we have to eat to survive, which makes it more likely that people can develop food addiction over other addictions. Also remember, if you are suffering from food addiction or binge eating issues, do not be afraid to connect with others and do not be afraid to ask for help. Too many people go this battle alone, and that's not going to help. Asking for help, this is a sign of strength. It is not a sign of weakness. To learn more on how to deal with the emotional issues associated with weight loss, food addiction, binge eating, emotional eating, stress eating, remember to subscribe right now and hit that bell notification so you never miss a future video. Also look for a new video next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have any questions you'd like for me to answer, leave them in the comments section below. I always do my best to answer them all. Also, feel free to share this video with anyone you know that could benefit from it. The more people that see my videos, the more people I can help. So the more people I reach, the more people I can help, which of course is my goal with these videos. Also, check out the videos that will be appearing on the cards on the screen. They will help you further in your journey. Again, thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Have an awesome week, and as always, please stay safe.